Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and that didn't exactly go the way I thought it was fucking gonna. Almost the first half of the episode entirely, episode 30, Attack on Titan Season 2, is dedicated to the flashback, mostly revolving around Ymir and Krista during winter training time. Most of the other cadets getting back to the winter base safely, including Mikasa, Eren, and Armin, and such like that, Sasha, everything. And but somewhere along the way, Ymir and Krista have gone missing. Nobody knows where they are. They've been lagging behind something fierce because, as it turns out, Krista is dragging this guy with one foot in the grave, as Ymir puts it. And I was somewhat getting Empire Strikes Back vibes because, of course, Eren is leading the charge, wanting to go back out and find them, search for them, and everyone's getting all ready to do so and such like that, akin to Luke being caught out in the icy tundra of Hoth and Han deciding to rally and go out and find him, and they both get stranded overnight in the ice and the cold and such. And it didn't quite shape up that way in this episode at all. The dialogue going back and forth between Ymir and Krista, Ymir mostly speculating as to what Krista was trying to get up to and trying to save this guy's life, when it would be that much easier to leave him behind, get back to the base that much sooner, and be warm and safe and everything like that. And Krista is adamant about she can complete this mission. She can save this guy's life, as barely hanging on as he probably is, and she's not going to take no for an answer. She's going to keep going, and she's even trying to persuade Ymir to go ahead and get ahead of her and go to the base, And there's some revelatory speculation on Ymir's part about, well, there was this girl who was sort of an outcast from this, I guess, somewhat wealthy family, a family perhaps in tandem with the religious sect and everything like that. And she was born of a mistress, and so she had to be dispatched. They were actually willing to kill this child, who turns out, as you might have assumed, to be Krista. Krista is not her real name. It's a persona she took on for fear of disgracing and dishonoring this family, making them a family of ill repute. She would take on a new persona and not disgrace this family. She would have a life, and she'd be allowed to live as long as she never sort of reclaimed that name or anything like that. And, it turns out to be true. Ymir's speculation turns out to be true, and it was kind of like intriguing, but I mean, what basically, of course, Ymir leaves her with is, after sort of usurping the saving of this guy's life, she pushes Krista down this hill right into a tree, and I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is she doing? And then you see like the glare of light. She apparently used that to transform into Titan mode so she could save this guy's life. And she just sort of leaves Krista hanging. Krista has to make her way down this cliff face that, it's she kind of has to go the long way around before she can get back there. And of course, Ymir has been there for hours or whatever it is. She had saved the guy's life. And it was just interesting for two characters who are supposed to be so closely knit. And we find out, in this episode that they have been fast friends for a very long time and put a lot of faith and trust in each other. I'm assuming post to that, post Ymir knocking her down the hill into a tree and running off with the guy, everything like that, not saving her as well, whatever, and Ymir promises she's going to confide in Krista her big secret. Now, I don't know if she had actually done so before this moment, when we catch up to the present day where she's leaping off the tower. Of course, Krista basically is adamant about, no, I knew nothing about it, when Reiner asks, did you know? And such like that. And so it kind of befuddled me a little bit because I've gotten the impression that they were much, much closer, like they were a full-on couple, that kind of thing, in the source material. And because I haven't read it, I really don't know. I did not subsequently get that impression watching this episode. They seemed like really, really close-knit friends. Maybe that was about it. I really didn't get an impression it went any deeper than that. And if not, it's kind of sad that, because it would have made it that much more bittersweet. I mean, it was already bittersweet by the end to begin with, but I think it would have gone that much more so by leaps and bounds if you found out they were romantically involved. And that really, I mean, it would have made something that was already sad that much sadder, that kind of thing. But I mean, beyond that, Ymir basically holds Krista to promising that if she ever reveals herself, her true nature, her secret, that Krista will hold to a promise that she's going to reclaim her own name. Because there's a lot of, Krista not wanting to sort of travel back across that bridge she's already burned and everything like that. She's already felt like there's so much of her life that has been unsatisfactory, that has been, just racked with problems, and maybe it would have been better if I had never been born. And this is something Ymir can really closely relate to for whatever reason. We don't really have a lot of information about her to really understand why she would feel that way, but there's a kinship between them. Whatever, at the very least, there is that bond between them for that reason alone. And so, of course, when we catch up to the Titans on the tower en masse and everything, and we have Ymir leaping off, and Reiner and his buddy, they realize, oh shit, this Titan was the one that took our boy in the past. I forget who the guy was to them. I think it was somebody who was teaching them or training them, whatever it was. And they realized this was Ymir. And there's a lot of talk, again, kind of what I'm thinking, like, well, how long has she known she had this ability? Is it something where, akin to Eren, he just sort of stumbled onto it, but no, of course we see it is premeditated, this transformation, because she stole the knife from Connie and cut herself. So the rage, the anger, kind of a la the Incredible Hulk, it would get her to rage monster out, tighten out. And she's tearing ass. She's fucking killing it. One Titan after another. And there's a few times where they're like grabbing her by the hair and trying to like hold her down. And she's hearing, of course, at that point, Krista has almost reached the tipping point where she's clamoring, fuck the tower, fuck everything. I mean, if it means destroying these things and preserving your life, do it. Live for yourself, like you said those years ago that you wanted to do. If you had a new lease on life, well, this is kind of it. This is the turning point, And she's like, fuck the tower. Bottom the tower out, if need be, if it'll help win this fight. And that's what she does, and it was really, like, you have Ymir jump up, and there is Krista full-on cheerleader mode. She's like, yeah, and then all of a sudden they boom right close up on Ymir's Titan face, and she's just like, want to live, grab me. Wow, if I had a dime for every time I heard that. I mean, I literally, when they zoomed in on her face, I was like, whoa. And of course they all leap onto her hair, and the tower is completely bottomed out. It completely just careens down on top of all of these Titans. And I had figured at that point, nah, they didn't really take most of them out, did they? I mean, they've been crushed. I don't think that's going to kill them. Sure enough, lo and behold, no, that wasn't the case. And I like how Connie's like, hey, Ugly, go take care of him. And so she's giving it her every best effort, but she's failing. She's getting torn apart. She ends up, all these Titans come out from under all the brickwork and mortar and everything, much as I feared. And, there is Krista about to walk into hell itself. A Titan just happens to be right there, right about to grab her. And then the fucking cavalry, man, the fucking cavalry came in, and I was whooping and hollering. I was like, oh, hell yes. Fuck yes. Mikasa is the first one in, and I just got goosebumps. I was like, oh, shit. Oh, damn. Mikasa for the win. And not only that, I mean, all of them, everyone that was with Eren, Mikasa and Arm and all that stuff, they all show up. They all arrive. Even Eren himself is throwing down a little bit, and I love it. He's like a little freaking fanboy. He's like, I got my first kill, man. And like one of the other guys is like, get the fuck back. Stay out of the way. And they were tearing ass. It was pretty fucking epic, I gotta tell you. And then, of course, the bittersweetness racked up again. I think it would have been that much more if we knew more about Krista and Ymir's relationship, if we knew how romantically affiliated they were with each other or whatever. I mean, it was, a dear friendship is the most really the gist I get out of all of this. And I just wish it could have been fucking more, because it was already kind of sad that she went to her demise. When she transforms back, she's mid-transformation when all these, Titans are gang piling on top of her, ripping her apart. And it kind of shocked me that when everything is said and done, when the Titans are all quelled, and you got Hanji sitting at one side, you got Krista coming up to her on the other side, she's dying. She's literally dying. She's bleeding out. One of her arms is ripped off. One of her legs is ripped off. We didn't see that. But I mean, you did see a Titan biting into her arm and everything. And it just kind of blew my mind that by tearing apart the Titan form, they were actually successful in tearing her apart. Unless there was some skip in the editing where we didn't see in her human form she was being devoured. And so, of course, Krista is there to give her real name. She's finally, as the title of the episode suggests, Historia. And it kind of seemed like Hanji reacted to that, and a couple of the characters might have reacted to that. Maybe they were surprised it was just, she had an alternate name. But Hanji almost had a look on her face like she was like, oh, really? Like maybe I'm reading that completely wrong. And I don't know what the significance of that name is exactly. Fill me in if it's not spoilery, and I'm just forgetful that this was something that had been mentioned in previous episodes, whether that be, what we've had of season 2 thus far or going back to season 1. If the name Historia, if I'm supposed to, recognize that somewhere. Again, avoiding all spoilers because I haven't read the source material. I don't know what's going on beyond this point. And, but I can only presume there's much more to it. That her familial affiliation probably spells something bad to most people, and maybe she'll be able to turn the tide, and by reclaiming that name, living up to that promise with she made with Ymir, maybe she will be an advocate for quelling these people who have these more ominous and nefarious machinations, anti-humanitarian though they may be. And I really don't know otherwise. But of course, Ymir dies just after hearing her real name, and it's really bittersweet. And I think it would have only been that much more so, as I say, if I had been able to really garner exactly how close they were and how much they meant to each other. Obviously, they meant something to each other. They were the dearest of friends, but I mean, and that's really enough. I mean, if they're that close, to lose one or the other, is going to be that much more impactful. But I think it could have gone leaps and bounds further if we knew for sure that there was something deeper and more engrossing and meaningful between them. And I guess that was just something that was kind of lost in translation, maybe, from source material to the adaptation, the anime adaptation. I don't know. I'm just speculating and guessing and grasping at straws there. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where we leave it. And there's the promise in the PV to come. Most of it escapes me. I don't really remember it much off the top of my head at this point, because it was a couple hours ago that I watched it. But the chief thing was that Eren is going to discover a new secret that's going to change everything. And by the shots they're showing in that PV, it seems to suggest to me that somehow or other he'll just have been told that Ymir used a knife to cut her arm, and that's what made her transform. And it'll allow Eren now to evolve to a point where he can command and perchance control turning into a Titan, because up until this point it's kind of been sketchy at best. They've tried and tried and tried and failed so many times, and it's been only under the most specific special circumstances that it ends up happening. And so if you can put that mantle into his hand, that he can now control his transformation and throw down and fuck shit up with the best of them on command, that would definitely turn the tide in humanity's favor, sending the Eren Titan against all other Titans and such like that. But yeah, I hope we're going to get back to some of the more mysterious elements as well. And it was a surprising episode. It wasn't exactly what I had expected. I did expect, again, based on the PV for this episode attached to the previous, that we would spend some time delving into the relationship dynamic between Ymir and Krista, and other than the fact that they confided in each other a little bit and they were really the dearest of friends, I mean, that's pretty much all I really got out of it. And it was still most sad to see Ymir go out the way she did, saving everybody, you know, risking herself and failing in the risk to preserve her own life, but she saved everyone else, you know, as a result. And then Krista really being moved to admit who she really was, Historia. And it's going to be really intriguing to see where that goes. You know, what exactly the tipping of the hat that might, you know, dole out for humanity against the Titans. So yeah, otherwise, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of this particular episode 30 of Season 2, Attack on Titan. If you were as shocked as I was, if you got the laughs that I did, you know, zooming in on Ymir's Titan form. Grab me if you want to live. Come with me if you want to live. You know, Terminator reference there. And yeah, love it or hate it. Anything goes in the comments below. Love to hear from you. I love having that conversation. Otherwise, that'll be pretty much it for me on this. If this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.